Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving,
I don't wanna take advice from fools.
you always won every time you placed a bet.
Money, that's what I want.
All right, I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. What we're going to do on this, slightly different than the videos and the articles that I've done about baseball handicapping secrets. This tells you how to handicap baseball and what to look for and some of the things that squares look for and not look for. And if you want to read that article or see that video, you certainly can do a search on it. For example, at scoresoddspicks.com/news. You will find our baseball handicapping secrets, what odds makers don't want you to know, and just enter, that phrase and Joe Duffy or whatnot, and you will be able to come up with that article or that video. But what I want to do on this Magnum Opus is to tell you where I go to get the best information in particular. At one time, I was a loyalist to Fox Sheets, going back to my Score Phone days. I was pretty much a charter subscriber, and it wasn't until late 2015 I finally said, you know what, I'm not going to do Fox Sheets anymore, in part because they are just so late in updating their database, and there's a lot of other websites that have the same information. I think I was paying about $500 a year for access to it. However, their legacy kind of still lives on in our winning, that I do use some systems that I've gotten there, and systems, of course, continue to be a big part of what I do. And really my favorite site for systems is Killer Sports, where I get systems and I compile it, and you really have to learn the language of it. Remember, maybe you were like me in school and you were convinced you would never use algebra the second that you left the classroom. You would never use it in the real world. Well, boy, was I wrong. The SDQL language is actually written in a lot of algebraic stuff, but essentially once you store it, the program will tell you what applies that day. And, for example, then you can put your notes, and I do store the systems in here. And this is a really good over-under system that I'm clicking on. And, huge over-under angle. It has to do with extra base hits of each team over the last 10 games. And as you can see, a pretty good system. Has actually not really one of our better systems, to be honest with you. But we do have quite a few excellent systems that are stored up, such as, a big run line angle. But and there you go, it's got a 13 ROI, so a very good run line angle. We have quite a few systems that we use that are more than 180 units in the plus column and have ROIs in the 30 percentile, etc. But also, a guy that I trade some angles with, he really loves Bet Labs. Now, Bet Labs is part of the Sports Insights, and Sports Insights is very good. Bet Labs is much better, where you don't really have to learn the language, and it's a lot more user-friendly as far as how to store systems, and they even have what they call a think tank where you can trade systems with fellow sharps. Well, this guy pays a lot of money to subscribe in all sports, and basically, if I've got a good system, I trade it to him for a good system that he has, and we each store it in our preferred favorite software. But, there are other places to do it, whether it's BetLab or Killer Sports or whatever your preference is, and places like StatFox has some that they save for you. But systems work time and time again. What I've really found out about systems is it's not so much that they uncover stuff for me as it is that it just verifies some techniques that I've been using for years and years and years, and then it really tells me unequivocally which systems actually do work the best. Maybe some weren't working quite as well as I thought, and you can really track it in computer software. And so it's really refined and streamlined my techniques. I mean, quite frankly, which only 10 years ago, and especially 20 years ago, and about 30 years ago when I got started in this business, the computer now stores the work that I used to do, and it can put 3 hours of work in the 5 minutes. So that's why it's great. Now, other sites out there, covers.com, again, don't have any problems mentioning a site that is a rivalry as far as my website, offshoreinsiders.com, is concerned, because, look, I use their data better than any handicapper in the world. Covers is good for a lot of things, but among them, splits. This is a look at some Pitchers splits that do apply today, and you can see, you can look at home, away, day, night, and they do the same thing for teams, but this is for Stephen Wright of Boston, and you can also look at team splits. So Covers.com is tremendous for those databases, and especially the old-fashioned handicapping, which we still like to do. Now, and Lou, one of the reasons I don't really use Fox Sheets anymore, if you want to display, you're big into team streaks, whether it's over-under streaks, probably Team Rankings does the best job of displaying it. Of course, the Fox Sheets, which does cost you about $500 a year, their premium is pretty good at displaying all kinds of streaks as well. But really, my favorite at this point is Team Rankings does an excellent job. And as far as the good old-fashioned handicapping news and notes, the old four-letter evil empire, ESPN, their daily fantasy notes, excellent for sports gambling stuff, and it tells you, pitchers' matchups and how pitchers do against certain teams and how they do against certain pitchers. And I know they rank, how a pitcher does, how a pitcher matches up against a team based on some metrics and a formula that they have. But they're very good as far as the news and notes. And I've said, time and time again, and even as I've refined my techniques, fantasy sports and sports betting, without question, overlap the most in Major League Baseball. And there are quite a few sites, way back in the day, I used to love to use Roto News when the internet first was invented, or Roto Wire, I guess it is, Roto Wire. Now I can't even remember. There's so many out there. I think Roto News was brought out by somebody else and they renamed it Roto Wire. I can't remember the exact. But anyway, now ESPN's Fantasy, the four-letter evil empire, is the absolute best place to go. Now, of course, if you don't have the time or money to invest in buy systems and trade systems and track all this, the best place to go, and this is with years and years of winning, of course, is offshoreinsiders.com, www.offshoreinsiders.com. Now, truthfully, hopefully by the time you watch this, our website will be complete. We're getting a much better mobile-friendly website. As there's always a delay. We thought it would be up by now. But offshoreinsiders.com is always the best place to go, where all the knowledge, years and years and years of knowledge, are there at www.offshoreinsiders.com, www.offshoreinsiders.com.